Quite possibly the number one most frustrating phrase uttered routinely by traditional pediatricians, even still today, is, "Hey mom, don't worry about it. They'll grow out of it." At Trinity Life Center, we hear the story after story of parents who were rightfully concerned about things like their child's colic, their constant crying, their chronic ear infections, constipation and gut issues, developmental delays, missed milestones, and even sensory meltdowns that happen far too often, only to find out later that their gut was actually right. And these early infant and childhood health challenges are a sign of something deeply neurological, dysfunctioning, and that kids don't usually grow out of these issues. Instead, they're growing into chronic illness and neurological challenges like sensory processing disorder, autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, asthma, allergies, and the statistics keep screaming this at us. So if you've been told by your traditional pediatrician to just wait, maybe just see if their child outgrows symptoms like extreme fussiness, poor sleep, chronic congestion, constipation, or even sensory meltdowns, this video is going to make you think twice. These conditions have a real neurological cause behind each and every one of them that require proper care that actually addresses the root cause instead of just hoping and coping and maybe waiting for them to go away, which is exactly what we'll be breaking down today. This video is for all the frustrated and confused parents who know in their gut that something more serious has been brewing under their child's symptoms, but their pediatrician just keeps dismissing their concerns and saying maybe they'll grow out of it. You'll learn how common childhood conditions like colic, like ear infections, digestive issues, and sensory problems actually stem from neurological dysfunction and this thing called nervous system distress. Finally, we're going to explain how neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic care is so essential to not just relieve symptoms, but to truly restore nervous system and brain function and to get your child on track developmentally and for the future. I want to tell you about one of our patients named Blair. Blair struggled immensely since she was a newborn with sleep. Not just the normal baby sleep struggles, but ones that never seemed to get better. Night after night was a nightmare for both Blair and her parents. Her waking hours, which were far too many, they were witching hours of endless crying, barely sleeping at all, constantly crying, and severe, digestive challenges as well. Despite these concerns, her pediatrician offered really no help, saying that, maybe it's colic and she's just going to grow out of it. As a first-time mom, Blair's mother initially trusted her pediatrician, but as they failed to provide solutions, month after month, she began seeking out other options. That's when she discovered Trinity Life Center. Mom said that everyone at TLC validated her concerns and her gut, something she knew in her gut all along. The scans actually reflected Blair's challenges at the nervous system level. We saw that imbalance, we saw that interference and exactly what was causing it. Within a matter of a few weeks of gentle, specific, neurologically focused adjustments, Blair was doing immensely better with sleep, with digestion, with everything. And now, almost over a year later, she's totally back on track. The brutal truth that kids are not growing out of these issues. Most of these childhood conditions and phrases of traditional pediatricians dismiss as normal or maybe temporary. Why? Because nearly all of these challenges discussed earlier stem from an underlying neurological cause, this stress, this dysfunction, and what we call dysautonomia of the central and autonomic nervous system. These frequent congestion and respiratory infections that keep plaguing our children, they later become chronic illnesses like asthma and like allergies. The sensory meltdowns and the crying, the tantrums and the sleep troubles, that's later called ADHD and sensory processing disorder. And the colic and the reflux can lead to digestive struggles or food intolerances or even allergies down the road. The cascading effects build on each other. They're not going away and they lead to bigger things. This cascade of events, we call it the perfect storm. It all starts with excess neurological stress in utero before they're even born, a lot of times with a stressful pregnancy. Then add in the potential birth trauma and interventions like forceps and vacuum extractions, induction and C-section delivery. And finally, let's add on those early exposures to antibiotics and other medications and toxins and so forth. And all this triggers inflammation within the body and the gut and that gut-brain connection. This all becomes a sequence of traumatic, toxic, and life-altering events that a child goes through and they're just a matter of months old. It leaves their nervous system stuck in a state of fight or flight. and can throw them off track developmentally, sometimes for the rest of their life. All of this early exposure to all the stress, all the toxins, leaves a child's brain and nervous system subluxated. Subluxation is our chiropractic word for this neurological dysfunction, dysregulation, and something called dysautonomia. At the root of all chronic illnesses, all of them, whether it's digestive or immune system related or neurodevelopmental, it's a singular problem: dysautonomia. Once you understand the perfect storm in terms like subluxation, nervous system dysregulation, and dysautonomia, you know what, moms and dad? You've found the answers. You've been up late at night searching for these answers, and I'm telling you, this is where it's rooted, of why your child is so sick and stressed all of the time. As a neurologically focused pediatric chiropractor, our team at Trinity Life Center is trained to recognize how this cascade actually occurs and find the real root causes of your child's chronic health challenges by diving deep into your case history, running these in-depth neurological scans and exams, and detect the presence of this thing called subluxation and neurological overwhelm. If your child's health struggles are being brushed off by pediatricians or as just phases that maybe they'll outgrow, trust your mom gut, trust your dad gut, and take the next step in learning about subluxation, dysautonomia, and neurologically focused chiropractic care. Click on the link below or in our bio to find a detailed article explaining why kids are not simply growing out of most childhood health conditions, and find that information of how your clinical process and care protocols work for you and your family.